The first time Marcus Chen met Havoc, the dog peed on his boot. Not a little. Not an accident. A full, deliberate, establishing dominance stream that soaked through Marcus's left sock and puddled on the concrete floor of the Lackland Air Force Base kennel in a way that suggested the 8-week-old puppy had been planning it since before Marcus walked in the door. Marcus stood there, boot dripping, looking down at ears too big for a skull too big for a body that hadn't grown into any of its parts yet. Paws like dinner plates, eyes dark and absolutely without remorse. The tail was going like a helicopter rotor. Seriously, Marcus said. The puppy sneezed, then bit his other boot. Sergeant First Class David Okafor, handler trainer, 15-year veteran, man who'd taken a full week of bereavement leave when his Malinois retired and didn't apologize for a single day of it, leaned against the kennel door with his arms crossed and the expression of someone watching a comedy he'd already seen and still loved. "Congratulations," Okafor said. "He chose you. He peed on me. That's how he chose you." Marcus looked at the puppy. The puppy looked at Marcus with the specific confidence of someone who has made a decision and is comfortable with it. Then grabbed his bootlace and started backing up, hauling with everything an 8-week-old body could generate, which was not much, but the commitment was absolute. "This," Marcus said, "is going to be a disaster." "Probably," Okafor said. "That's how the good ones start." For years later, Sergeant First Class Marcus Chen sits in a military transport shuttle in the outer Krell Sector, Havoc's full weight distributed across both his feet and most of his left leg, and thinks about how you can know another living being better than you know yourself, even when that being communicates exclusively through ear position and eyebrow deployment. He knows Havoc snores when he's genuinely relaxed but goes completely silent when he's pretending to sleep while actually cataloging everything within nose range. He knows Havoc's left ear twitches differently than his right when something is interesting versus threatening, different frequency, different duration, different angle. He knows exactly what Havoc's face does when he smells food that isn't his, and the slightly different face when he's already decided the food is his and is simply managing the transition. He knows Havoc dragged him through 400 meters of Afghan mountain terrain after an IED took out their vehicle, their team, and Marcus's ability to form sentences. He knows that Havoc sat on his chest in the evacuation helicopter and refused to move for the entire flight, and Marcus came back to full consciousness not from medics or morphine but from 60 pounds of dog licking his face with the frantic, systematic focus of someone running a wellness check using every tool available. He knows he would lose both arms before he lost this dog. Looking around the shuttle at 40 coalition operators from 6 species who've spent 3 hours making no effort to hide their opinions about Earth's contribution to this operation, Marcus tightens that statement. Both arms. Both legs. Whatever it takes. Havoc opens one eye, reads Marcus's posture with the fluency of 4 years, closes it again. "Not yet. I'll tell you when." "Yeah," Marcus murmurs. "I know." Coalition forward staging. Krell Station 7. T-3 hours to insertion. The pre-deployment bay smells like weapons oil, alien metabolics, and the particular sharp edge of professionals about to go somewhere bad. Marcus has smelled it on 6 continents and now, apparently, in 3 star systems. The backdrop changes. The smell doesn't. He walks through with Havoc off-leash at his left side. Not commanded there. Just there, the way he's been for 4 years, the habit having graduated into something that doesn't require thought from either of them. The staging area holds approximately 40 operators from 6 species. Keshnari with their 3-eyed profile. Vraxians who make the ceiling look low. Tresh operators who compress themselves into configurations that keep breaking Marcus's depth perception. 2 Ythrian snipers communicating in subsonic registers that Marcus can't hear but Havoc's ears track with rotating precision. All of them stop to look at the dog. Marcus is used to it. On Earth, people stop to look at Havoc too. "Oh, he's gorgeous. Can I pet him?" But this energy is different. This is the energy of people trying to figure out if they've been insulted. A young Keshnari operator overconfident in the way of someone who's been told he's exceptional without yet being shown otherwise approaches with all 3 eyes on Havoc and the posture of someone addressing a piece of luggage. "Is it dangerous?" Marcus says. "What?" "He." His name is Havoc. The Keshnari's sensory stalks arrange into polite skepticism. My squad runs the Raytheon 7 drone package. 47 sensor types. Real-time tactical net. How does an animal compete with that? Your Raytheon 7 was in the insurgent threat database 18 months ago, Marcus says. They have countertech specifically designed to beat it. Havoc's nose has 300 million scent receptors and 300 million years of updates. No patch required. The Keshnari opens his mouth. Havoc chooses this moment to yawn full jaw, operatic 42 teeth on display, a sound like a small door opening. The Keshnari closes his mouth. He's tired from transit, Marcus says. He'll be fine when the ramp drops. Commander Vrathike is the kind of officer Marcus respects, immediately old enough to have made mistakes and survived them, carrying 30 years in posture rather than decoration. He reads Marcus's file the way Marcus reads terrain, looking for what the obvious surface is hiding. Sergeant Chen. Vrathike pulls him aside in the bay's north corner. Your integration plan. Havoc runs point element detection. He sweeps approach routes and entry points before any operator exposure. In an explosives environment, that's the difference between a clean entry and losing your first team through the door. Vrathike looks at Havoc, who is currently investigating a crack in the floor with professional focus. We have detection systems, Vrathike says. Testing, not dismissing. The Raytheon 7. Marcus nods. Good equipment. I've worked alongside it. The insurgents in this sector have been captured with counter-drone tech twice in 6 months. Jammers, thermal masking, hacking modules. They know how to fight the Raytheon. A beat. They don't know how to fight a nose. Vrathike's 3 eyes settle on Havoc with a new quality of attention. Calculation. 3rd Squad. Embed with SEK Nor. Room clearing detail on Building 2. Thank you, Commander. Vrathike turns to go. Stops. Chen. Your file mentions Kandahar. 2028. Yes, sir. He pulled you out. Yes, sir. And you still put him in the field. Marcus looks at Havoc. The dog has abandoned the floor crack and is looking back at him with the specific patience of someone who's heard this question asked in 12 different ways. He'd be miserable if I didn't, sir. This is what he is. You don't take that from someone just because it scares you. Vrathike studies him, nods once, moves away. Commander Veilcon arrives differently than everyone else. Not through the main staging entrance. Through the command liaison corridor, flanked by 2 staff officers, moving with the unhurried precision of someone who considers arrival times to be for other people. He's Keshnari like Vrathike, but the resemblance ends at species where Vrathike carries his rank like a tool he uses. Veilcon carries his like a verdict he's already delivered. Senior Intelligence Coordinator, Coalition Advanced Operations. 17 years. Classified deployment record that Marcus's clearance level reaches about 40% of before hitting walls. The kind of file that's impressive and slightly alarming in equal measure. He's also, Marcus determines in approximately 90 seconds of observation, the specific type of dangerous that doesn't announce itself. Veilcon moves through the staging area cataloging everything not looking, cataloging the 3 eyes taking sequential inventory of each operator, each equipment loadout, each tactical configuration. When his gaze reaches Marcus and Havoc, it doesn't stop or widen or register surprise. It simply holds. For exactly 3 seconds. Then moves on. Like a scanner that found something unexpected, flagged it, and moved on to complete the full sweep before returning to the anomaly. He approaches Vrathike first. They speak briefly in Keshnari too fast for Marcus's translator to fully catch mission parameters, insertion timeline, intelligence updates. Professional. Efficient. Then Veilcon walks to Marcus. Not over. To the specific directional intent of someone who has already decided what this conversation is. Sergeant Chen. His standard is precise, barely accented. Coalition intelligence has reviewed Earth's K9 integration proposal 6 times in the past 2 years. He stops at a distance that is technically respectful and actually territorial. I've personally reviewed it twice. And, Marcus says, and I find it philosophically interesting as a study in how pre-technological species develop compensatory mechanisms for cognitive limitations. He tilts his head slightly. You lack the processing capacity to run advanced sensor arrays, so you outsource detection to animals with strong olfactory systems. Elegant for the era it developed in. Marcus keeps his expression neutral. Takes work. We still run the advanced sensor arrays, sir. We just also run this. Redundancy through biological backup. Veilcon looks at Havoc with the specific quality of attention Marcus has learned to hate, not hostile, not dismissive, but the look of someone examining a relic. The issue isn't the animal's capability within its natural parameters. The issue is deployability, consistency, reliability under conditions that biological systems handle poorly. His eyes come back to Marcus. Stress, injury, fear, death. These variables affect biological systems in ways that degrade performance unpredictably. Engineered systems fail cleanly. Biological systems fail a pause chosen for precision. Messily. With respect, Commander, Marcus says, you've never seen this particular biological system in the field. I've seen the data. Data's not the same thing. Something moves in Veilcon's expression. Not offense. Something more careful, the slight recalibration of someone who expected less pushback. You're correct that I haven't observed your specific asset operationally. I intend to correct that tonight. He looks at Havoc one more time. I expect my assessment to be confirmed, but I prefer confirmation to assumption. He walks away. Havoc watches him go, then looks up at Marcus with an expression Marcus can read clearly. That one's the real problem. Yeah, Marcus says quietly. Already know. Esikanor appears at Marcus's shoulder, having watched the exchange from nearby. You know who that is? Intelligence Coordinator. Read his file. His file is 40% redacted, Esikanor says. I noticed. He ended the Krell Sector campaign in 6 weeks with 0 coalition casualties. Esikanor's voice carries something Marcus identifies as reluctant respect. 17 years of operations with a success rate that makes my record look like a training exercise. A pause. He's also the person who denied Earth's K9 integration proposal the last 3 times it went up the chain. Marcus is quiet for a moment. He's the one who keeps blocking the program, Marcus says. He's the one who keeps blocking the program, Esikanor confirms. He doesn't add anything to that. He doesn't need to. Marcus looks across the staging bay to where Veilcon is reviewing a holographic tactical display with Vrath-TK, pointing out features with the precise efficiency of someone who's already solved the problem and is walking others through the solution. Competent, experienced, smart, and completely, structurally unable to see what Marcus and Havoc actually are. Havoc presses his side against Marcus's leg. I've got you. I know, buddy, Marcus says. I know. The mess annex, 30 minutes before launch. Marcus is eating protein-carbohydrate matrix that tastes like chicken had an existential crisis. Havoc has finished his own meal-precise nutritional ratios, specific protein sources, the result of actual research into working dog performance under sustained operational stress with the focused intensity of a professional athlete taking fuel seriously. Then he finishes. He looks at Marcus's tray. The face appears. Marcus has tried to describe the face to people who haven't experienced it. He stopped trying. It involves a head tilt of precisely 11 degrees. He measured it once during a slow week in Djibouti and a widening of already large dark eyes that seems anatomically impossible given their resting dimensions. A forward lean of exactly 2 centimeters. One eyebrow up. Just the one. Havoc has an eyebrow. Marcus doesn't know how. Shouldn't work. It works completely. No, Marcus says. The eyebrow intensifies. You ate your food. That's my food. These are established categories that we've discussed. Havoc puts his chin on the table edge, rests it there, looks at the tray, then at Marcus, then at the tray with the patience of a being who has all the time in the world and absolutely none of the guilt. You are a highly decorated military working dog. A small sound from somewhere in Havoc's chest. Not quite a whine. More like a politely worded editorial. Marcus tears off a piece of the chicken substitute. Havoc takes it with the delicate precision of someone accepting what was always going to be theirs. Drenvik, the young Keshnari operator Marcus, has already mentally tagged as the one who'll learn fastest, is watching from 2 tables over with the expression of someone whose threat model is being quietly revised. He does that often? Drenvik asks. Every meal for 4 years, Marcus says. He also once ate half a counter AD report I needed to submit at 0800. Stole a whole roasted chicken from a FOB kitchen, still don't know how he got the door open, and on one occasion I've been sworn not to discuss officially, consumed most of a birthday cake intended for 47 people. Drenvik's stalks quiver. Was he punished? He received a very thorough conversation about the concept of personal property. Marcus watches Havoc lick the plate. He listened very respectfully. He has no idea what personal property means. He stole my sandwich the next morning. A sound from Drenvik that Marcus has learned is suppressed laughter. Less suppressed than before. He's not what I expected, Drenvik says. Nobody's ever ready for Havoc, Marcus says. That's part of what makes him good. People are ready for a weapon. They're not ready for him. From across the mess, Veilcon is eating alone and reviewing a tablet with the focused efficiency of someone who considers meals to be a maintenance requirement rather than a social event. He doesn't look up, but Marcus notices he's positioned so that he can see the entire room, including them. T-45 minutes. Marcus is running final equipment checks when Esikanor pulls him aside with the specific energy of someone who has information that changes the picture. Intelligence update. Esikanor says quietly. Veilcon briefed Vrath-TK 20 minutes ago. The compound isn't just a holding facility. What is it? The insurgent group operating there, they're a splinter cell of a larger organization that's been running anti-coalition operations across 4 sectors. The prisoners we're recovering include a coalition intelligence analyst who was captured mid-operation. Esikanor pauses. She was carrying operational data. Encrypted, but if they break it, they get the next 6 months of coalition intelligence operations, Marcus finishes. Every asset, every operation, every undercover unit currently deployed. Esikanor's voice is flat. Veilcon's assessment is that we have a 48-hour window before they extract her to a facility we don't know about. So tonight isn't optional. Tonight has never been less optional. Esikanor glances across the bay to where Veilcon is now speaking with Vrath-TK and 2 squad leaders. He's also insisted on operational oversight. He'll be at the command element during insertion. Marcus absorbs this. He's coming down? Forward command post. Real-time oversight. Esikanor looks at Marcus steadily. He wants to see your dog fail, Sergeant. Don't let him. Marcus looks at Havoc, who has been listening to this entire conversation with his ears forward and his expression attentive in the way of a dog who understands tone and context if not every word. We haven't yet, Marcus says. Raytheon package is down. Prethka, the drone technician assigned to Veilcon's command element, competent and increasingly unhappy, delivers this 40 seconds before ramp drop with the energy of someone who knows this news is going to land badly. It lands badly. Override it, Veilcon says. His voice doesn't change. That's somehow worse than if it did. Sir, they're running military-grade jamming across multiple frequencies. Our entire sensor suite route through the secondary array. Same frequency band, sir. They knew our full equipment profile. We are completely Completely what, technician? A pause. Dark, sir. We're running dark. Silence in the shuttle. Marcus doesn't say anything. He doesn't need to. 17 years of operational experience, and Veilcon's first insertion with a new unit is running blind, because someone on the ground spent the price of a used vehicle on a jammer and did their homework. He feels Veilcon's gaze find him across the shuttle bay. Doesn't meet it yet. Sergeant Chen. Veilcon's voice is controlled. Precise. Your asset is unaffected by the jamming. Correct, sir. Biological hardware. Zero network dependency. Nothing to jam. A pause that carries more weight than most sentences. Proceed as integrated element. Your dog is on point for third squad. Understood, sir. Havoc is already standing, having felt the change in Marcus's posture before Marcus consciously made it. The dog shakes once, nose to tail, the full body reset Marcus has watched 1,000 times. His eyes go to the ramp. He knows. Marcus unclips the leash. Just us, Marcus says quietly. The tail moves once, twice, stops as the ramp drops and the alien knight rushes in and Havoc's nose goes to work before they've taken a single step into the dark. The Raytheon backup Unit A smaller secondary package that Prethka managed to get operational on a partially cleared frequency reaches Building 2's approach vector at the same time as Havoc. Marcus watches them work in parallel and keeps his mouth shut, because this is the kind of lesson that needs to teach itself. The drone sweeps the main approach in 42 seconds. Systematic, precise, covering the obvious ground with 47 types of sensor, building a composite picture of the terrain and finding it clean. No explosive signatures, Prethka reports. Thermal shows no ground heat anomalies. Electromagnetic negative. Approach is clear. Sikanor looks at Marcus. Marcus is watching Havoc. The dog has not gone to the main approach. He's moved 15 meters left, nose working in tight arcs, following something the drone never looked for because the drone was looking at the path, not the space around it. Havoc sits on a patch of ground that looks like every other patch of ground. Pressure plate, Marcus says, crouching carefully. Organic compound casing, no synthetic signature for the chemical sensors to find. Biological material, so no heat differential for thermal imaging. Offset 15 meters from the main approach to catch teams that avoid the obvious path. He marks the coordinates. Your drone cleared the front door. This one's for people smart enough to go around it. Silence. How many approach vectors does your drone cover? Marcus asks. The primary 3, Prethka says slowly. Havoc covers all of them simultaneously. Marcus follows the dog forward. Different tool, different methodology. They route around the plate. 20 meters later, Havoc sits again. Another one. Then again. Sikanor says nothing, but he stopped questioning each time and started watching Havoc instead. Building 2's main entrance. Havoc hits the alert from 8 meters out, sits, locks, stares at the door frame with the intensity that Marcus has learned means serious. Right there, very bad. Booby-trapped and trance, Marcus reports. North face has a maintenance window, second floor. Confirmed on schematic, Prethka says. He's deployed the backup drone to scan the building's perimeter. But my thermal sweep shows 3 heat signatures on the ground floor. Armed. Near the northeast corner dash. That's not the real problem, Marcus says. What do you mean? What else does the thermal show? Ground floor general heating from dash. Prethka stops. From what? A longer pause. From material stored in the central rooms. The signatures are diffuse. The drone is interpreting it as environmental heat bleed. It's not environmental, Marcus says. Havoc's been doing the full body alert since we got within 30 meters of this building. That's not a single device. That's a lot of devices. He looks at Sikanor. The drone's reading explosives as background heat, because there's so much of it that it registers as ambient temperature variation rather than a discrete source. It can't distinguish. Prethka starts. It's looking for devices, Marcus says. It's not finding them because it's swimming in them. He watches Havoc, who has not moved, who is reading concentrations that his trained nose measures in parts per billion. This isn't a manufacturing facility. This is a storage depot. The silence that follows has weight. Veilcon's voice on the command net is controlled and quiet. Sergeant Chen. Confidence level on that assessment. Marcus looks at his dog. 100%, sir, Marcus says. He doesn't make this alert for small fines. Another pause. Proceed with alternate entry. Build the full picture before we commit any element to that building. Marcus and Havoc go up the north wall, Marcus scaling in 14 seconds, catching Havoc's vest handle at the apex of the dog's explosive jump, pulling 30 kilograms of dog through the window and into the dark. Inside, Havoc stands completely still for 4 seconds. Just breathes. Marcus waits. This is the part people never understand, the waiting. Not inaction. Active listening. Letting the dog's senses do what human senses cannot do. Respecting the information being gathered even when you can't see it being gathered. Then Havoc takes one careful step forward. Marcus follows. The building has been secured. The triggerman neutralized. Third squad has pushed through and the compound is in the process of being collapsed from multiple angles. Veilcon moves forward to the Building 2 intelligence node, the command console Marcus located and cracked during his initial penetration, and is working with Prethka to extract data from the insurgent network. Commander, Prethka says, I'm showing encrypted files being transferred to an external location. They're burning their data. Can you stop it? Already on it, Prethka deploys his remaining drones in a network interdiction configuration, trying to locate the physical source of the transmission. The signal is moving. They're bouncing it through relay nodes. I need he stops. What? The signal just went cold. I'm reading it from a pause. Sir, I'm reading the transmission source as somewhere inside this building. But it moved. It was in building 3 2 minutes ago. Now it's here. That's not possible without physical movement. Someone is physically moving the transmission device, Veilcon says. Through a compound we've been assaulting for 20 minutes, Prethka says. Invisibly. The words settle over the command element. Marcus speaks. They're using the utility tunnels. The same ones Havoc used. The system runs under all 3 buildings. Someone with the device is moving through the tunnel network while we're clearing the surface. Veilcon looks at him. Your drones can't find them in the tunnel network? Thermal can't penetrate the tunnel floor, Prethka says slowly. The material composition is specifically the wrong profile for our sensors. And if they're moving slowly, acoustic detection would classify them as background mechanical Havoc can find them, Marcus says. Veilcon's 3 eyes fix on him with the specific quality of someone examining a statement they don't want to accept. The tunnel system is several hundred meters of branching conduit, Veilcon says. Your dog would need to determine which branch the target took, maintain the track through a space actively filled with explosive compounds that would compete with any human sense signature, and locate a moving target without a starting point to work from. Yes, sir, Marcus says. The probability of a biological system Sir, Marcus keeps his voice level. I'm not asking you to believe it's possible. I'm asking for 3 minutes to demonstrate that it is. A silence. On the command net, distant weapons fire from Building 3's ongoing clearance. Time running. Data burning. Someone moving through the dark underneath them with information that could dismantle 6 months of coalition operations. 3 minutes, Veilcon says. Marcus drops to one knee. Havoc is already there, already reading Marcus's urgency, already shifting from building assessment mode into something sharper. New job, Marcus says quietly. Different target. Someone's in the tunnels. He produces a scent article fabric recovered from the insurgent intelligence network's known personnel, part of the pre-mission kit that Marcus carries specifically for moments like this. Havoc's nose goes to it for 2 seconds. Seek, Marcus says. Havoc goes to the tunnel access hatch, drops his nose to the seam around it, processes for 3 seconds, and sits. He came through here recently. He's got the track, Marcus says. Open it. The hatch opens. Havoc flows in without breaking stride, and Marcus follows with his headlamp active, and the tunnel swallows them both. What happens next, Prethka watches on the helmet camera feed and will describe in his after-action report with the specific language of someone who has been required to document something that rearranged his understanding of the possible. The tunnel network is dark, branching, and filled with the residual scent of explosive compounds strong enough to overwhelm most olfactory systems. A human's nose would find nothing except the general chemical cloud. Every electronic sensor in the Coalition inventory would find nothing except background material composition. Havoc moves through it like the chemical cloud doesn't exist. His nose isn't confused by the explosive scent, he filters it. Separates it into component parts the way a trained ear separates instruments in an orchestra, identifying the specific biological signature of a living being moving through the space against the background noise of everything else. He doesn't search. He follows. At the first branch, he doesn't pause left, without hesitation, the direction decided by scent gradients invisible to everything except his 300 million receptors. At the second branch, he turns right, then slows, then stops. The heat signature on Prethka's drone watching from the surface, trying to maintain any useful read through the tunnel floor flickers and dies. I've lost them, Prethka says on the command net. The sensor can't dash. Sergeant Chen, Velkan says. Status. Through the helmet camera, Prethka watches Havoc go completely still. Ears forward, rotating in small precise increments. Processing sound frequencies that the camera's audio pickup can't fully capture. The target is ahead of them and knows they're there. Marcus's hand comes up. The signal Havoc knows, hold. Havoc holds. Then Marcus's other hand. A different signal. The signal that means, I know you're ready. Wait for me to be ready too. Havoc's tail moves once. Ready whenever you are. What happens next takes 11 seconds and Prethka watches every frame of it 3 times in the debrief. Marcus and Havoc move forward together, and the Target A Krell operator, trained, carrying a military-spec data device and a sidearm comes around the tunnel bend into the beam of Marcus's headlamp. The operator raises the sidearm. Marcus drops. Havoc goes. The operator fires once the plasma bolt scorches the tunnel ceiling and then Havoc is on him, 30 kilograms hitting at full acceleration in a confined space where there's nowhere to dodge, and the operator goes down with the specific decisive quality of something encountering a force it did not calculate. The data device skitters across the tunnel floor. Marcus has it in 4 seconds. Target neutralized. Marcus says into the comm data device recovered. Transmission terminated. Silence on the command net. Sergeant Chen, Velkan says, after a pause long enough to mean something. How did your dog track that individual through a tunnel filled with explosive compound scent? He filtered it, sir. Separated the biological signature from the chemical background. Your drone couldn't maintain thermal contact through the tunnel floor, Velkan says. Not to Marcus. To Prethka. No, sir, Prethka says quietly. And the acoustic sensors? Classified the target as background mechanical noise, sir. And the dog found him. Yes, sir. Another silence. Longer. Continue the mission, Velkan says, but his voice has changed. Not much. A professional wouldn't notice. But Marcus notices and Esekanor notices and Drenvik, listening on the squad net, notices. Something in it that wasn't there before. Not quite belief, but the specific quality of someone who has encountered a fact they cannot dismiss and is beginning the process of figuring out what to do with it. Building 3's subbasement. 8 coalition prisoners. All rigged. 1 man watching them with a dead man switch and instructions to use it if the compound is breached. Standard breach means everyone in that basement dies before the first door opens. Velkan lays out the tactical picture at the forward command post with the precise clarity of someone who's solved problems like this before. His solutions are good. His analysis is sharp. His technological toolkit is extensive. Every option has a casualty projection. Marcus watches him work and waits. There's no approach that reaches the trigger man before he can act, Velkan says. Physical insertion requires time he'll use. Remote systems can't penetrate the structural interference. We accept the loss or we negotiate. He pauses. Negotiation timelines exceed our operational window. Quiet around the command post. Havoc can do it, Marcus says. Velkan looks at him. We've established that your dog's detection capability is significant. This is different. You're proposing a solo hostile neutralization of an armed insurgent in a subterranean environment, executed by a non-sapient animal without handler presence. Yes, sir. List the failure modes. Marcus doesn't hesitate. Havoc takes a wrong turn and loses the target unlikely given we have a sent article from the prisoner manifest. Havoc alerts the target before reaching position unlikely given his noise discipline. Havoc reaches position and doesn't execute on command impossible. He pauses. The dog has 3 failure modes. Every human alternative has 8. Velkan stares at him. I know what it sounds like, sir, Marcus says. But you just watched him track a moving target through a tunnel your entire drone package couldn't penetrate. You watched him filter biological signatures out of an explosive compound cloud. You watched him make tactical decisions without me being in the same room. He looks at Velkan steadily. Tell me which part of that record doesn't justify trying. Silence. Velkan turns to look at the Building 3 schematic. The 8 prisoner markers in the subbasement. The single hostile signature in the room above them. If this fails, he says quietly, 8 people die. If we do nothing, 8 people die, Marcus says. And she has the data. 8 seconds pass. Authorized, Velkan says. 8 minutes from now, I initiate the standard breach regardless of outcome. Whatever your dog does, it has to be done by then. Marcus nods. He crouches down to Havoc's level. And this is the moment Marcus has tried to explain this to people who asked about it later. And he's never found the right words, so he stopped trying. It's not a command. It's not a briefing. It's the specific conversation between 2 beings who have been doing the same job for 4 years, in the way they've learned to talk to each other, which is mostly just being honest about what's being asked. This one's different, Marcus says quietly. You go alone. All the way through. No recall until it's done. He holds Havoc's face in both hands, looks at him directly. I need you to do something I can't do. And I need you to come back. Havoc's dark eyes look at him, reading everything. The way he always reads everything, not the words, the whole picture. Posture, heartbeat, scent, the specific quality of Marcus's hands on his face, the weight of what's being asked underneath the words. He licks Marcus's nose, gets up, goes to the tunnel entrance, looks back once. Go. Havoc, Marcus says. Seek and apprehend. Quiet approach. Wait for command. The dog disappears into the dark. Marcus stands up and breathes. Velkan is watching him. You're afraid, he says. Not mockingly. Observing. Yes, sir. You sent him anyway. Yes, sir. Because you trust his judgment. Because I trust him, Marcus says. The distinction matters. Velkan is quiet for a moment. Something moves behind his 3 eyes that Marcus can't read. You understand that from a tactical standpoint, that level of personal attachment to an operational asset is a liability. Marcus looks at him directly. With respect, Commander, that attachment is exactly why he's going to succeed. He's not a drone following programming. He knows what the job is, he knows why it matters, and he's going to do it because he stops. Finds the honest version. Because we do this together. That's the whole thing. We do it together, even when we can't be in the same room. Velkan says nothing. On the command net, the timer counts down. The tunnel is dark and smells of explosive compounds and old water and the specific mineral signature of this particular rock below this particular compound on this particular world. He moves through it. His eyes work in low light, but here the dark is complete, and he navigates by the other senses the way sound reflects to map geometry. The pressure changes that map open and closed spaces, and above everything, the nose. He is thinking about Marcus. Not in words. In the shape of warmth and the smell of him before a mission and the specific feeling of Marcus's hands on his face saying something very serious in the way Marcus gets serious, which is quieter than usual and more still. Marcus is not here. This is different. The absence makes everything matter more. He finds the scent thread the target, the one he was given thin in the general chemical noise but present, and he follows it through the dark with the certainty of something that does not need to see to know where it's going. The target is above him, moving back and forth. He climbs. For limbs, pressure on both walls, completely silent. He reaches the grate. The target is very close. 2 meters. The fierce smell is strong, the specific compound of a being preparing to do something they can't undo. He waits. The speaker on his vest breathes one word. He goes. 11 seconds. 1 insurgent neutralized. Building 3 subbasement is clear, Marcus says into the command net. Prisoners are intact. Deadman device is safe. A pause. Calling Havoc back now. Sergeant Chen. Velkon's voice. That was Dash. He stops. Unusual for him, Marcus has learned Velkon complete sentences. Remarkable. He's remarkable, sir, Marcus says. I just aim him. That is an extraordinary understatement. Yes, sir. Retrieve your dog. Then I need both of you at the forward command post. Marcus blinks. Both of you. Velkon said both. Understood, Commander. The mission is finishing when it goes wrong. Marcus is crossing the courtyard to reach Velkon's command post, Havoc at his side, the mission winding toward completion. He hears the sound change. Not an explosion, not yet. A crack. The specific sound of structural concrete that has been asked too much suddenly agreeing to come apart. He has 1 second. He turns. The wall isn't falling straight down. It's falling out. A lateral blowout. Chunks of reinforced concrete moving laterally across the courtyard in a pattern that no one's position covered because no one knew to cover it. The debris field is wide and fast and crosses directly through the space where Marcus is standing. He sees Havoc see it. He sees Havoc see him. Not the full collapse. The edge of it. But the edge of a shaped charges debris field is still concrete moving faster than it should, and it lands on the space Havoc occupied in the half-second between pushing Marcus clear and not yet having moved clear himself. Impact. Dust. Ringing. Marcus gets up. His left leg has a complaint. He overrides it with the specific skill of someone who's learned that the body's emergency reports are not always the priority. Havoc. Dust. Gray and thick. Cutting visibility to 2 meters. Rubble scattered across 15 meters of courtyard. Chunks of concrete ranging from fist-sized to things that would require equipment. Havoc. No response. He moves into the debris field, hands on the first piece before he's consciously decided to start digging. 30 kilos of concrete, both hands, everything his legs have to lift. He drops it, moves to the next. Havoc. Nothing. A Sikanor appears at his shoulder. Doesn't ask questions. Starts moving debris. Havoc. Here. Come on, Dash. The professional is already gone. Evaporated somewhere between the moment he heard the crack and the moment he understood where his dog was. What's left is just Marcus. Just the person underneath all of it. Drenvik Esikanor on the squad net. North Courtyard. Now. Drenvik arrives in 4 seconds. Then Kicktail. Havoc his voice breaks. Just once. Just for a second. Don't do this. Don't we have a plan? You're supposed to retire. Sleep on the furniture I told you not to. Eat everything in my apartment. We have a plan. His hands are shaking not from fear, but from something else. Something that doesn't have a military word. I told you the dumb heroics are my job. 3 minutes. Nothing. A Sikanor is working beside him and says nothing, which is the right choice, and the squad is working and the courtyard is full of the sound of concrete moving and Marcus's voice calling a name into rubble that isn't answering. 3.5 minutes. Marcus stops. Not because he's giving up. Because his hands have found a piece that's too large to move without equipment and underneath it is nothing and he's looking at it and something in him is doing math he doesn't want done. Sikanor puts both hands on the large piece. 2 Ythrians move to help. 3 species coordinating on one piece of debris. It moves. Underneath it, a cavity. 2 large pieces of concrete fell in an arch, structure holding the load off the space below, and in the space below, Havoc. The sound is small. Breathe. The specific frequency of a dog trying to make himself known through something heavy. Marcus is in the debris before anyone else moves, hands finding fur, pulling, and Havoc comes out of the cavity with the careful inevitability of something that was always going to come out, that was never going to stop trying to get back to where he was supposed to be. One back leg at an angle Marcus doesn't like. Blood on his shoulder. Eyes half open and slightly unfocused. But breathing. Breathing. Marcus pulls him completely clear, sits down in the broken concrete, and holds the dog against his chest. He doesn't say anything. He can't say anything. He just holds on, forehead pressed against the dusty fur, feeling the heartbeat under his hands. Feeling it. Counting it. There. Havoc exhales. Full body. The complete, total release of a being that has been very afraid and is now not afraid. Marcus feels it happen in real time and something in his own chest that has been wound very tight since the wall fell, releases. He presses his face into the dog's fur and breathes. There. You can't do that, he says into the fur, into the dust. You hear me? You cannot do that. I'm the one with the dumb plan. You're the one who tells me when the plan is dumb with your face. That's how we work, you don't get to dash. Havoc licks his chin. Deliberate. Thorough. The specific lick that means I'm checking on you, hold still. Marcus makes a sound that is not a laugh but lives in the same neighborhood as one and is entirely involuntary. Okay, he says. Okay. We're okay. He's aware that people are around them. He's aware that Sikanor is standing nearby and Drenvik and the rest of Third Squad. That the courtyard is full of coalition operators who have paused in the middle of their jobs. He's aware that Veilcon is there. He doesn't care about any of it. He's going to care about all of it in approximately 30 seconds. Right now, for exactly the duration of one breath, he allows himself to be a man who found his dog and is very, very relieved. One breath. Then he looks up. Medic, he says. His voice is steady. We need veterinary support at Building 3 Courtyard. Veilcon approaches while the medic works on Havoc's shoulder. He stands at a distance for a moment, watching. Then he comes closer and crouches, the specific deliberate movement of a being choosing to be at someone's level. The leg, he says. What's the assessment? Stress fracture. Non-displaced. 6 to 8 weeks. Marcus pauses. He'll be fine. Veilcon is quiet. His 3 eyes move from Havoc to Marcus's hands, both of them bleeding from the dig. Sutures needed on the right. You dug through rubble with bare hands. Yes, sir. For 4 minutes. 3 minutes 40 seconds. Veilcon absorbs this. Then, I've spent 17 years making the argument that biological systems are unreliable in high-stress operational environments. That emotional attachment to assets compromises tactical judgment. He pauses. In 17 years, no one has ever challenged that argument in a way I found difficult to answer. Marcus says nothing. Tonight I watched your dog locate a target through a tunnel that defeated my entire sensor package. Veilcon's voice is precise, measured, but underneath the measurement there's something moving. Recover encrypted data that would have compromised 6 months of coalition operations. Execute a solo hostile neutralization that I calculated as having a 70% failure rate. Another pause. And then choose to protect his handler at personal cost. Yes, sir. I was wrong, Veilcon says. The words land differently than Prethka's admission. Prethka was wrong about one operation. Veilcon has been wrong for 17 years and they both know it, and he says it anyway. I will withdraw my opposition to the K9 integration program, he says. I will submit a formal recommendation for full coalition adoption, and I will make it as thorough as every objection I've previously filed. A pause. Given that I filed 4 of them, the recommendation will be extensive. Marcus looks at him steadily. Thank you, Commander. Don't thank me. Veilcon looks at Havoc, who has his eyes half open and his tail making weak but persistent movement against the medic's knee. The program was correct. I was wrong to block it. The appropriate response to being wrong is to correct it, not to be thanked for correcting it. He stands. When he's recovered, I would like a briefing. Complete operational methodology. Everything. A beat. From you and from Havoc. From Havoc, sir? I said what I said, Sergeant. He walks away. Havoc's tail thumps twice. Yeah, Marcus says. Me too. Coalition carrier. 6 weeks later. The corridor outside the carrier's recreation area. 0500. Marcus is doing push-ups. Not because he's been off the operational roster since the compound, pending standard post-operation recovery. He's doing push-ups because Havoc is doing his physical therapy exercises, and Marcus decided about 2 weeks ago that Havoc would cooperate better if they were working at the same time. This theory has been proven correct. Havoc is working through the range of motion exercises Krell designed, stepping through specific patterns with careful precision, the leg brace off for the past week, movement improving daily. He stops occasionally to watch Marcus, ears forward, then goes back to his exercises with renewed commitment. I know, Marcus says from somewhere around push-up 40. I'm watching. You're doing great. The tail moves. Don't get smug about it. You have the hip rotation next. An expression that Marcus has cataloged as I know, I was just thinking. Do it. Havoc does it. Veilcon has been standing in the corridor entrance for 2 minutes. Marcus knew he was there approximately 90 seconds ago. Havoc's left ear tracked him when he arrived, the angle that means known, friendly, non-threatening, and didn't stop, because the exercises are on a schedule and the schedule doesn't pause for flag officers. Veilcon doesn't announce himself. He watches. After a while, when Marcus finishes his set and Havoc completes the hip rotation and they both take a water break, Marcus from his bottle, Havoc from the bowl he carries specifically for Havoc in a vest pocket, Veilcon walks in. 0500, he observes. He's more motivated when we do it together, Marcus says. Veilcon looks at Havoc, who is looking at Veilcon with the specific assessment expression, and then at the pocket on Marcus's vest where the ration supplement is stored. He's evaluating my pockets, Veilcon says. He's evaluating your pockets, Marcus confirms. He can smell through the material. He knows you don't have food, but he's being optimistic. He seems very confident. He's always confident. It's the thing that makes him difficult to live with and impossible to work without. Marcus towels Havoc's ears. Havoc submits to this with resigned dignity. You're early, sir. The briefing isn't until 0800. I know. Veilcon crouches, the deliberate movement Marcus has started recognizing as his version of trying to meet people where they are. He extends one hand toward Havoc, palm down, and waits. Havoc sniffs, processes, then presses his nose firmly into Veilcon's palm and holds it there for 3 seconds. Veilcon goes very still. What does that mean? It means you pass, Marcus says. He's declared you safe. He doesn't do that with everyone. How many people does he clear? In 4 years? About a dozen. Veilcon looks at the dog. The dog looks at him. I blocked his program for 4 years, he says. He cleared me in 30 seconds. He doesn't know about the program, Marcus says. He just knows about you. Veilcon is quiet for a long moment. You know, Sergeant, I have spent 17 years building arguments around the principle that emotional investment in operational assets produces poor outcomes. That the correct relationship between an operator and their tools is one of professional distance. He looks at his hand. where Havoc's nose left a damp spot. I built 17 years of very good arguments. They were good arguments, Marcus says. They were incomplete arguments, Velkan says. There's a difference. He stands. I'll review the briefing materials before 0800. Is there anything specific you want covered? Just show them what he actually does, Marcus says. Don't explain it. Show it. The explaining dash, he shakes his head. Nobody believes it until they see it. Velkan nods, moves to leave, then stops. Sergeant Chen, the analyst, we recovered, the one carrying the operational data. She asked me this morning whether the dog that found her was available for a visit. He pauses. I told her I would check. Marcus looks at Havoc. He'd like that, sir. I thought he might. Another pause at the edge of the door. She told me something else. She said she'd been in the sub-basement for 6 weeks. Heard nothing but the sounds of people who wanted her to stay afraid. He chooses words carefully. And then she heard a dog, moving in the dark. And she said she knew, before anything else happened, that someone had brought something good into a bad place. His 3 eyes hold a quality Marcus hasn't seen in them before. I found it worth noting. He leaves. Havoc watches him go, then looks at Marcus. That one's okay now. Yeah, Marcus says. Took him long enough. The tail agrees thoroughly for an extended period. Hip rotation. 2 more sets. An expression that says you're very demanding. You love it. The tail says obviously, and Havoc gets back to work. 3 months. The graduation ceremony for Coalition Handler Class 1 happens on a Tuesday. On a planet with a sky the color of hammered copper, under a sun slightly larger than Earth's that makes everything look warmer than it is. 20 handlers from 8 species. 20 dogs bred, selected, and trained with months of collaborative effort between Earth's K9 program and Coalition veterinary and behavioral science teams. The result is something that's never existed before, a multi-species handler corps built on a 40,000-year human tradition transplanted into the galaxy. Marcus is there as instructor cadre. Havoc is there as officially lead demonstration asset and program ambassador. A title that Krell invented and Marcus suspects was partially an excuse to keep him involved now that his own operational return is still 3 weeks away. The brace came off clean. The leg is good. Krell cleared him last week and spent the extra 30 seconds telling Marcus that the ahead-of-schedule recovery was due to exceptional physical therapy protocols, making eye contact with Marcus in a way that communicated she was fully aware those protocols involved a Marine sergeant running alongside his dog at 0500 every morning and refusing to let either of them fall behind. Marcus didn't comment. Havoc accepted the brace removal with the specific dignity of someone who has endured an injustice and is gracious about its conclusion. The ceremony is a coalition production, multiple dignitaries, Admiral Kethvon present in person, a real-time broadcast to 12 stations because apparently a dog receiving a service commendation is the kind of thing that gets watched. Velkan is there too, not in an oversight capacity. He submitted a request to attend as a witness, which is a different thing entirely, and Marcus had spent a full minute staring at that request before deciding it meant something he didn't have a word for yet. The commendation is read. Full citation: solo building penetration, explosive detection preventing multiple casualties, encrypted data recovery, prisoner rescue, life-saving action under fire. The list is long and each entry is read with the seriousness it deserves. Havoc sits through all of it with tremendous patience. The Admiral attaches the commendation to his vest. Havoc accepts this with immense dignity. Then he spots the ceremonial ration display on the adjacent table, part of the symbolic reception following the ceremony, carefully arranged by the logistics staff and in the specific and committed way of a dog who has made a decision, acquires a ration pack. Cleanly, efficiently, with zero hesitation. The sound from 40 coalition officers and assorted dignitaries is indescribable. Admiral Kethvon looks at his empty hand, looks at Havoc, who is 3 meters away and already opening the pack with practiced professionalism. Looks at Marcus. He does that, Marcus says. At ceremonies? The Admiral says. He doesn't recognize rank, sir. He just recognizes opportunity. Keth Vaughn makes a sound that Marcus's translator renders as a suppressed laugh, very professionally suppressed, not quite successfully. Sergeant Chen. Sir. Pay for that. Already planning to, sir. Havoc finishes the ration pack, looks around the ceremony with the calm satisfaction of a job well done, and walks back to Marcus's left side where he has always been and settles into position. Vale Khan appears at Marcus's shoulder. Your dog stole from an admiral. Yes, sir. The admiral is laughing. I noticed. This is Vale Khan pauses. I don't have a tactical framework for this. No, sir. You kind of just have to let Havoc be Havoc and accept the consequences. Vale Khan looks at the dog. Havoc looks back with the specific confidence of someone who has just done something that worked out. I've reviewed the integration proposals this week, Vale Khan says. The full program adoption, the handler training curriculum, the operational deployment framework. A pause. It's well designed. Earth's been doing this for 40,000 years, Marcus says. We've had time to refine. There's a provision I want to add, Vale Khan says, to the operational framework. Sir, handler dog teams are to be assigned together to all postings. No separation for operational convenience. He looks at Marcus. Non-negotiable. If a handler goes somewhere, the dog goes. If a dog can't go, the handler doesn't go. A pause. It should have been in the original proposal. The fact that it wasn't is an oversight I intend to correct. Marcus looks at him. Commander Vale Khan, he says. That might be the most important thing in the whole document. Yes. Vale Khan's three eyes hold something steady and decided. I know that now. He walks away to join the reception. Havoc watches him go. That one's good now. Marcus puts his hand on the dog's shoulder. Yeah, he says. Took all of us a little while. But yeah, the stars outside the viewport are different from Earth's different patterns. Different brightness. A different arrangement of light across a dark that goes on forever. Marcus has been here 20 minutes. Havoc arrived 12 minutes ago, having apparently tracked Marcus here from their quarters by following his footsteps through 6 corridors and 3 decks, which is not operationally necessary and is entirely characteristic. The dog settles against his left side. Not in his lap, the leg is fine now but old habits. And also there's a dignity to a commended military working dog that probably shouldn't involve being in someone's lap in a visible area. He just presses against Marcus's side and breathes. Here. You're here. That's the whole thing. Yeah, Marcus says. Same. Esikanor arrives without announcement. He's been doing that, appearing at the observation deck during ship's night with the slightly self-conscious energy of a being who has found something he values and isn't quite sure how to explain that to himself yet. He sits, produces a small container of ration contents and places it near Havoc with the specific casualness of someone who wants it noted that this is a deliberate choice. Havoc's nose finds it immediately. He looks at it, looks at Esikanor, looks at Marcus. Marcus shrugs. Havoc accepts the offering with great seriousness and greater enthusiasm. We ship for the Ven sector in 3 days, Esikanor says. I know. Vale Khan has requested 3rd Squad as Havoc's primary embed unit. A pause. He was specific about that. Marcus nods. Good. Esikanor is quiet for a while. The comfortable quiet of people who have been somewhere bad together and come back and don't need to narrate it. Sergeant, he says eventually. On Earth. Before this. Before the coalition. You trained dogs for what purpose? Started as protection work, Marcus says. Police, military, private security. Then Havoc and I went special operations, explosive detection, tracking, direct action support. And before the military, the history of it. Hunting, herding livestock, guarding homes, early warning systems when predators approached camps. Marcus thinks about it. There's evidence of dog burials from 14,000 years ago. Humans burying their dogs with ceremony. With grave goods. Like you'd bury someone important. Sikanor absorbs this. 14,000 years ago. And that's just the burials we've found. The partnership is older. Marcus looks at Havoc, who has finished the ration contents and is now resting his head on Sikanor's lower appendage with the complete trust of a dog who has decided someone belongs in his circle. We've been doing this a very long time. Sikanor looks down at the dog on his leg. When I was young, he says, my primary instructor told me that the measure of a warrior is not what they do alone. It's what they protect. He pauses. I thought I understood that. I don't think I understood it until the courtyard. Marcus says nothing. You protected him. Sikanor's voice is careful. You were going to keep digging until dash. Yes. Without hesitation. Without any. Sikanor's sensory stalks arrange into the configuration Marcus has learned means he's moving through something difficult toward something honest. And he protected you. Without hesitation. Without any. Both directions, Sikanor says. Always both directions, Marcus says. That's the whole thing. It was always both directions. Since 8 weeks old and a boot that needed marking. Sikanor is quiet for a long time. I want to understand this, he says finally. The way you understand it. Not tactically. Not operationally. A pause. The real thing. You can't understand it from the outside, Marcus says. You have to be in it. I know. Sikanor looks at Havoc, at the dog resting on his leg with complete trust. I think I'm beginning to be in it. Havoc's tail moves. Slow and deliberate. Yes, you are. They watch the stars. 3 of them, the human, the Keshnari, and the dog who crossed a galaxy and cleared a building and found the survivors and went into the dark alone and came back, who always comes back, who would always come back for as long as he has breath to do it with. Marcus puts his hand on Havoc's shoulder. The shoulder that healed. The leg that healed. The dog underneath it all that has never, in 4 years, once failed to be exactly what Marcus needed him to be. Not because he was programmed to, not because he was commanded to, but because he decided to long ago on a concrete floor in Lackland, Texas, when a puppy chose a person and a person let himself be chosen. Hey! Marcus says quietly. Havoc opens one eye. Good boy, Marcus says. Best dog. Best partner. The eye closes. The tail moves once. I know. Always knew. Outside the viewport, the stars are endless. The galaxy is large and mostly doesn't know yet what it's gotten into, letting humans bring their dogs. It will learn. It always learns. The hard way and the right way, and in the end it learns the same thing humans learned 40,000 years ago in a darkness much closer to home. You don't have to face the dark alone. You just have to be willing to choose someone to face it with. And then, you show up for each other. Every single time. No matter what. Veilcon's opposition to the K9 integration program was formally withdrawn 6 days after the Krell Sector operation. His recommendation for full adoption, submitted to Admiral Kethvon, was 47 pages long. It was the most thorough document ever submitted in support of a program its author had previously blocked. He never explained this discrepancy publicly. People who asked him about it reported that he said, I was wrong. The correction required equal effort to the error. And then he refused to discuss it further. He did, however, begin carrying ration packs in a secured inner pocket. Havoc found them anyway. He always found them. MWD Havoc. Belgian Malinois. First non-sapient recipient of the Coalition Service Cross. First non-sapient individual to receive a formal briefing request from a Coalition Senior Intelligence Coordinator. Retired with full honors, full pension, and full access to every piece of furniture in Marcus Chen's quarters. Survived by his handler. Remembered by everyone who was ever in the dark when he came looking. Which was everyone he was ever sent to find.